So the simulations that we have is going through a reprogram, and we believe we're seeing more correlation with the simulation that we have. So since MIS, I am really encouraged with the results we've had. It's been 5 races, and in every race we've been in contention where the new engines have been used. So MIS, we finished 2nd. It was a few more laps, and Casey would have moved up front. After that, we went to Sonoma. It wasn't an FR9 engine, but we finished 4th. And after that, I believe came Daytona. And Daytona was a race that Casey also finished 2nd. And then after that came Loudon. We were leading. Casey had led the most laps, and obviously we know what happened there. There was a DNF. But then came Chicago, and then last week at Indy, 2nd and 3rd. So 5 races, new engine, 3 second place finish, and a 3rd. So that shows that when you're coming from where we have been over the last year and a half, you don't get from 15th place to 1st place overnight. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of racing, and you got to make your way through 2nd and 3rd to get to 1st. We're very encouraged. Greg Biffle could have won the race last weekend, and we believe the Roush organization and all the 4 teams are on the upswing, and we expect a better second half with Matt and the rest of the team.
You mentioned the queue, the order in which the manufacturers changed engine. How did NASCAR determine the order in which the companies could introduce a new engine?
I personally don't know the answer to that question, but I think what happened when Toyota had come in, they needed to have been given the opportunity to compete. They didn't have a V8, a pushrod V8, so they needed to allow them to design an engine. And once you allow one competitor to design an all-new engine, by default, you got to let the other competitors do the same thing. And I don't know whether it was a collaboration, it was a random draw, but that was the order that pursued.
If you could speak a little bit, I'm always intrigued from a marketing standpoint about this. Even when things were tough a couple of years ago, and now all the manufacturers are coming out of that, things are much brighter. But even during the tough times, motorsports was still a key part of every manufacturer's program, especially Ford. Can you talk a little bit about that connection between the viability and health of the company and what motorsports means to you guys?
Well, there's no better place to actually tell the story of why motorsports is important to Ford. Because literally in this building, not that far away from here, is the car that Henry Ford built and raced in his first and only race, and won that race, by the way, to start Ford Motor Company. Actually, that race predates the start of Ford. We still race today for the same reasons Henry Ford raced back in 1901. He raced to attract attention to what he was doing, attract attention to the car that he was building, and to show the world that he has a better car. So really, we race for the same reasons. We want people to know that we are winners, 1, and 2, we want to race to attract people's attention to the great offerings from Ford. So what Matt and the rest of the team do on the track is what people and the fans affiliate with. And when they see Matt and the rest of the team go out and running up front and winning, it draws them a little closer because we're all fans of sports and we're all fans of NASCAR. And when you see your fan, your company doing well, it makes you feel better. And 2, what happens off the track is the stuff we spend a lot of time on because we got great products, one of which you're going to see here today. And fans really don't have a chance to go see them if we don't present it to them. So we go where our consumers are, we go where our fans are, and we bring our great products and showcase them so when people are considering our car, when they're considering to buy a car, they have seen our car, they've been in our car, and they go buy our car.
That's awesome. Something else that's fantastic that Ford has done, the new nationwide car. And I'm really happy that NASCAR, listening to the fans and the manufacturers, really want to get back to recognizing the make and model of the car out there on the track. And that's happening with the nationwide series. And the 4 manufacturers had an opportunity to really work with the new car and make it look like the new car. And hats off to you guys. The Mustang is amazing. It is absolutely beautiful. It looks like a Mustang. You can tell it's a Mustang. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because they're going to be out at MIS, one of the 4 races that the new nationwide car will be at. And we actually have an open test that'll be open to the public on Thursday, August the 12th. People can come out for free. But talk a little bit about the new Mustang.
I mean, we all know where racing started, whether we were kids or even just tracking it if you had interest in other sports or other activities. The roots of racing is when people with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of gasoline in their vein, took cars and modified them and went racing. And I think that's the origins of NASCAR. It's a stock car racing association. So we believe that as the series of NASCAR has evolved, they actually had great intentions because of the speeds and the safety. It drove the car to the cars that we see today. And we all also believe that there's a room to keep the brand identity of the cars while maintaining the safety and all the architecture that's needed to keep the pace of sport that we all enjoy. So credit to NASCAR for willing to work with the manufacturer to allow brand identity, the look of the Mustang, on the nationwide car. And I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it foretells more to come. We at Ford are very, very adamant and would love to see more correlation between the cars we sell and the cars that race. And I think Nationwide Series is the first step. And I tell you, a lot of fans have welcomed Mustang, and everybody here, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and spread the word that if you get a chance to go to MIS and see the Mustang in Nationwide. And the cool thing is when you see the Mustang, you see the Challenger, you can tell when they're coming around the back stretch that this is the Ford and this is the Dodge, and it's really exciting because it's just what the sport was about. So we're very excited. We believe it's the first step, and a lot of fans have welcomed it. And actually, a lot of the Mustang fans and the enthusiasts of the Mustang books are now starting to cover NASCAR when previously they didn't. So I think it's a net gain for everybody. And when you get to see that car up real close, you'll really be pleased with it. And we'll take it to the next level going forward.
I was going to ask, do you see this going to Cup racing, having that brand identity anytime in the next few years?
Well, with so many media people here, I'm not going to answer that question. But, you know, I mean, we've been saying publicly that we would like to see more brand identity of the cars that race to be like the cars we sell. And I think that speaks for itself. Mustang is an icon of the company. Mustang is our muscle car, and we're going to see how it does it nationwide, and then our eyes are obviously the Cup in making sure that the cars that race in Cup look like the cars we sell. We are driven to win. It's in our spirit. We will win, and I want to thank Matt for actually doing, you know, an act. You know, I'm sure he was looking to win himself, but he wanted to go a step beyond, make sure Ford got its first win. And in the end, I mean, it cost him his points, but he went for the win. So thank you, Matt, for doing what you do every day, and we appreciate all you do out there on track and everything, especially coming here today on your day off.
So we're all still waiting on Jeff's payback.
That was clean racing, and that was a great move by Matt. And man, when I saw him take that out, I'm like, ah! But hey,
I didn't mean to imply it was dirty racing. I'm just saying. I want to talk a little bit with Chritian here too, Vice President of Collections and Experience Design here at the Henry Ford, and you got to be very proud of but daunted too by the task ahead of you with the new exhibit with Motorsports.
Oh yes, we are. We put together a great team to develop this exhibit, and like our president Patricia Moradian said, we spent the past decade collecting, looking at archives, championship paradigm cars, a couple behind us. We have the Willys Gasser that George Montgomery drove in the 60s that dominated. Of course, we have the Thunderbird from 1987 that Bill Elliott drove that still holds a record for the NASCAR 212 plus. But the idea of the exhibit really is about not just the cars, but about innovation. So it's American racing through the lens of innovation.
Why are you creating the exhibit? I mean, there's a lot of history, and this museum's all about history, but why now? Why did you guys decide, hey, let's go start this piece of the museum?
Well, history in this museum is American experience. I'll put it that way. It's American experience. And you can't dispute that racing is not part of the American experience. And it's definitely part of the Henry Ford story, as Jamie talked about earlier. But really our focus is about American innovation in Henry Ford Museum. And so telling that story, a story for the youth, a story for the old and young at heart, is really important to us. But right now, let's face it, innovation is something that America needs today. And a great story through American racing and bringing those stories back, not just to talk about the past, but to inspire the future.